Hello guys, welcome back, and in this video we're going to look on how to add the URL parameters to our guy on our API here. So if I go, for example, to something like get user, of course we know this needs a URL parameter, as you can see here. So by default, Scribe traits is best to make sure that it has provided this documentation, but you need to know how to do this so that in case you want to add the or to change anything on this documentation like this, you can be able to do it on your own. So without further ado, let us dive in and see how to do this. So I'll go to my documentation here, my code, and I'll go to the user. And where, if you think of it, where we want to add the parameters on the URL is when we are getting a single user, for example. So where we are getting a single user, we need to pass a URL parameter here. So I'll go to here where we are getting a single user, and then you need to use URL params. That will mean I'm going to pass a URL parameter, and then the parameter, in this case, I'm going to say it is the ID, and then the type of the parameter is an integer. And then if you want it to be required, or to be required, then you need to specify the year required. If I remove this required, it means the parameter is optional. And then there's a description you can add here, which is, for example, the ID of the user. And then you can give an example here, for example, example 3. So something of this sort, and then you'll say example full colon 3. That is it. So I'll just copy this now, and then I'll scroll down to update. We also need a parameter, so I'll do this. I'll paste it here. I'll scroll down to destroy. We also need a parameter. I'll do the same for the product, and then we can continue. And so I've added that URL params also for the product. And now let us just run our guy here quite fast here. So I've generated the documentation. So let's go to our guy here. Let's do a refresh here. And now when you go to a documentation, you can see clearly that on the get user, for example, you have the ID of the user, URL params, and example is 3. And that is what we have specified in the code here. So if I go to the code, and if I go to get users or show users, that is what I've specified here. So it is being applied here, as you can see. If I also go to the update user, if I scroll down, you can see we have the URL parameters here. And if I also go to the delete user, if I scroll down, we also have the URL parameters here. So that is how, guys, we specify the URL parameters for our API documentation.